Hey everyone, welcome to the Roadmap, Benzinga's NFT show. We got a good one for you today. We will be talking to Andy Krainak, the president of VeeFriends, to hear more about VeeFriends, VeeCon, and what is ahead in Web3. Don't go anywhere. This is the Roadmap. All right, everyone. As I said, this is the Roadmap, Benzinga's NFT show, and I am very excited for today's show. I have the honor and privilege to talk to the president of VeeFriends. If you are not familiar with VeeFriends, of course, it was a NFT collection launched by Gary Vee. It is also tied into VeeCon, one of the largest NFT conferences around the world that I had the privilege and honor of attending last year and cannot wait to attend in 2023 in less than a month. So without further ado, it is time to bring on our special guest, the president of VeeFriends, Andy Krainak. Andy, welcome to the Roadmap.
Thanks so much for having me on, Chris. Happy to be here.
So excited to talk to you. You know, I've been a fan of VeeFriends for a while. I am a VeeFriends Series 2 holder. As I said, I attended VeeCon last year. My kids are huge fans of VeeFriends, which we'll dive into later on in the interview. But let's get started and hear a little bit about yourself, Andy. I'm curious, and I know our viewers will be too, to hear, how did you get started in the world of cryptocurrency and NFTs? What were some of the first cryptos or NFTs that you purchased yourself?
Yeah, I would say, I'm relatively new to the crypto and Web3 space. If you think about it from a 2016-17 perspective, I really joined the space upon launching VeeFriends, preparing for the launch and really just trying to understand everything I could about Web3 and why Gary and people like him saw it as the future of collectibles and access and utility. My first NFT was actually a CryptoPunk. I had watched Gary spend as much time as I had ever seen him spend on a single subject matter. And that was around Web3 and NFTs. You know, he spent as much time on his calendar that he could finagle to talk with OGs, people that have been building in the space for a long time, just to get educated. And because of the focus and passion and enthusiasm that he had singularly on Web3 and the implications that he was thinking it was going to have, not just for creatives and media entities, but globally for every industry in the world, made me perk my ears and eyes up and really try to dive in and pay attention to it.
I love that, and that you listened and got that CryptoPunk, because I've actually talked to some others. Matt Higgins comes to mind, that he was told to buy some CryptoPunks by Gary Vee, and he didn't end up buying them. So great on you to kind of see that vision there. So you have been working for Gary Vee for several years. You started as an intern. You've worked for a couple different verticals on the Vayner side of things. Why VeeFriends, right? Why make that shift over to NFTs and the Web3 side of things instead of, maybe some of those other media verticals?
Yeah, so by and large, I've worked with Gary almost a decade now, and I've always been right under him and his brand and content. So, as well as anybody there is, I've listened to the messages of Gary Vee and the ethos of Gary Vee. And when he says patience, I can really understand why he drew Patient Panda and Patient Pig and what patience means for him and how he wants to grow that attribute and trait and inspire in others. So I was really inspired by the opportunity to storytell with characters, develop an IP, paired with the amount of innovation and disruption and opportunity that was going to take place when you're putting IP on the blockchain. So it was just an incredible and remarkable opportunity, and I'm extremely humbled, not just by Gary's faith and belief in myself to become the president of this company, but also by the community that we have. I'm always taken aback by the level of kindness and empathy and consideration we have in the VeeFriends community, specifically because it's within the Web3 space. And of course, everyone knows there's this culture of degen and people just generally being motivated financially to participate in Web3 and NFTs. And I think Gary, starting with him and then myself and then the rest of the VeeFriends leadership team, down to all of our Discord mods, are trying to build a culture of real community where it's not about floor prices and it's not about financial gains, but it's about the value that you can have when participating and joining a community and joining in the conversations of what the ethos of this brand represents.
Definitely. And now, Andy, anyone who has, listened to Gary Vee, we know that he is a very high energy, optimistic guy. And sometimes he has, these large, grand goals, right? And he has said that VeeFriends is, going to be his Mickey Mouse, right? Putting it on that same level as Disney. Obviously, that's a big goal. Talk to us a little bit about, how does VeeFriends really reach that next level? How does it become that next Mickey Mouse or Disney?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the one thing I've learned about Gary and that I try to inspire in others is to dream big, and I think Gary would humbly say, like, Disney is the cornerstone ambition for anyone trying to build an IP company. And Disney, I like the word transmedia. Disney is a transmedia company because they're really creating stories and developing their characters in different forms in media, whether that's in their parks and entertainment or through books and comics and plushies or through all the classic movies that we know. And that's what VeeFriends has to do. We started storytelling with our characters on the blockchain. We developed the IP and we minted them as NFTs. We did so again with Series 2, but we also have collectible trading cards, which have taken a life of its own, and it has its own sector of audience that are really interacting with our competing trading cards. And then the collaboration with Macys, we now have plushie toys. So it's really just utilizing the different mediums that we think have the amount of attention and the right consumer and audience base that we want to try to develop stories around to interact.
Andy, you mentioned the Macys partnership. For anyone watching who doesn't know, VeeFriends partnered with Macys, and you guys launched a series of plushies and figures with that blind box style, right? So talk to us a little bit about what that partnership meant. Was it a success for VeeFriends, and could there be more in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge success for VeeFriends to be. I mean, honestly, like, I think we were maybe 18 months in to establishing and creating this IP, and we're in Macys Toys R Us. I would say the most iconic toy store that I ever grew up knowing. And it had sentimental value to Gary. He shares the story of his parents immigrating from Belarus to America, and his mother not being able to afford to shop at Macys. And fast forward 25, 30 years later, and now her son created an IP franchise that actually has toys for sale inside of Toys R Us. And again, it's a success because we're able to meet new consumers where they are. And I think that's going to be the challenge for any NFT Web3 project or company that started in Web3. I think everyone's ambition as an NFT project founder will be to grow and expand the community. And in order to do so, you're going to be capped at a certain threshold if you're only talking to people in the Web3 space. You have to think about how to meet people where they're hanging out, and to do that with Macys and Toys R Us is an incredible opportunity. And we're definitely excited to continue to develop our plushies and figurines toy lines.
Love those points, Andy. And, on that same line of, kind of meeting outside of Web3, I do have to say that my kids absolutely love the VeeFriends characters. They own some plushies, some blind boxes, right? I've got my gorilla right here. You've got a whole lineup behind you, right?
Be the bigger person. Yep.
We've all got the figures. We've all got the plushies. My kids know NFTs because I talk about them, all day long, but they don't necessarily love some of the projects out there, right? Either because of the artwork or they just don't understand it. But VeeFriends, they get, right? Talk to me about kind of that appealing to, a younger generation alongside Web3.
Yeah, it was so exciting. I had mentioned it earlier. It was so exciting for me to see the first time sort of the emotional connection children were having with VeeFriends characters. And to me, it first came to life when we launched VeeFriends Series 2. The artwork evolved. I think the artwork is a lot more kid-friendly than Gary's doodles. No offense, Gary, but those were the foundation. And then to see the artwork evolve with the 55 plus different scenes we have. But then we had anyone who was a primary purchaser, minter of VeeFriends Series 2, received these box of collectible trading cards. And I was getting texts from friends who have young kids saying like, yeah, Andy, I think you might be onto something with this, because they like these cards more than they like the Pokemon cards. And I think it's really just the relatability of patient panda and empathy elephant and charming cheetah. It's words and attributes and animals that they see on a daily basis. And I think to develop that emotional connection related to traits and characteristics and attributes that collectively as a community we want to inspire in others is an amazing opportunity.
Andy, I gotta agree with you and share on that point. We actually on Benzinga's YouTube did an unboxing video where my kids and I opened up our VeeFriends trading cards, and it was one of the most fun nights they've had. First of all, because they got to be on YouTube, which they absolutely have wanted to do for a long time, and also because, like you said, they love Pokemon cards. They know sports cards, but these VeeFriends cards were so cool to them, right? To see like NFTs kind of come into this vertical, to have the chance of getting, a rare or super rare card, and, to learn the characters, right? Like it got those characters now. They can tell me the names of 50 different characters because they know we own the trading cards of them, in the house. So that's a really cool element, I think, for the family friendly kid side of things. But Andy, I have to ask, along with that, what is the vision and evolution of VeeFriends as that Web3 enabled brand, right? Outside of the kids, outside of the merch, the kind of that presence, how do you appeal to, NFT collectors, investors alongside that vertical?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think I like to think of social media platforms as rooms of the internet, right? Like every Twitter has its own lexicon and audience versus Instagram versus YouTube. And I think for Web3 collectors, we have to play in their space. We have a new platform we've launched called Burn Island, which I think is a pretty profound platform that we've launched that I think will be duplicated by other projects. I think in the height of NFTs in 2021 and 2022, people were minting a lot. And I think the supply of a lot of different collections is hurting the projects. And to be able to create a way in which the supply of NFTs are going down, but you're coming up with thoughtful incentives, rewards, and prizes to drive engagement is a great opportunity. And above and beyond that, there's just so much innovation that can be happening on a daily basis in Web3. If you think about the different ways you can bridge NFTs onto different chains, the ways in which you can create utility for owning certain rarities or traits or metadata of NFTs. And then, of course, you mentioned with VeeCon, it's an amazing opportunity for us to sort of host the biggest party we can and the biggest conference we can for all projects, founders, creators, people interested in learning and growing within Web3 and business. And it's something we're really proud of. I want VeeFriends selfishly to be the biggest and baddest IP on the planet, and definitely within Web3. But with that, I think I'm always rooting for Doodles and Pudgy and Yuga and any other project brave enough to enter the space and try to garner a community to develop an IP.
Perfect. So, Andy, let's stay with Burn Island for a minute, right? This is a really cool element to VeeFriends, that ecosystem. You guys recently announced Eruption 5, and it relates to CryptoPunks, which you mentioned your first NFT. It's one of the most widely known NFT collections out there, one of the most valuable. Talk a little bit about Eruption 5 and how VeeFriends holders have a chance to win a CryptoPunk for free.
Yes, so it's a competition, right? In order to enter the competition, you must burn a VeeFriends Series 2. Now, of course, everyone's like, I love my legit llama or my empathy elephant. I'm not burning it. And I'm like, cool. Don't burn island is enter if you dare for the most part. But right now, I think we maybe have 27 to 28 submissions. You have to burn a VeeFriends Series 2 and then record a video up to 20 seconds debating the VeeFriends character Cynical Cat as to why humans are not negative or pessimistic. A third-party judge contestant company that runs a lot of these different competitions for other notable companies and brands is going to select the winner. And I'm super excited about it. Aside from the fact that someone's going to win like $115,000 CryptoPunk originally owned by Gary Vee, it's a cool challenge for the community. It's a really broad statement to debate humans, debate Cynical Cat as to why they're not pessimistic or negative. But I think it's challenging people to be creative and have moments of self-discovery as to how they best want to storytell and debate Cynical Cat. So just a really cool opportunity and campaign and initiative to reward the community and challenge them creatively.
I love that. And I have watched some of the video submissions that people have sent in. And I don't know if I'm going to enter myself. I mean, I heard that 20 seconds. I'm like, 20 seconds is not a long time to get a lot of points across. And also when I heard a third party was judging, I was like, oh, there goes my idea of talking about the New York Jets, right? To try to get Gary to like the video. But yeah, I mean, what a cool idea. So how long do people have, Andy, to enter that Eruption challenge?
Yep. I'm looking at it right now. There's exactly 4 days and 1 hour remaining. On April 24th at 4 p.m. it closes. It's been open since last Monday on the 17th.
That is awesome. So guys, if you haven't checked that out, make sure to check it out. And again, you do have to burn a VeeFriends Series 2. So there is a little bit of an entry, right, or a cost, but you have the chance to take home a CryptoPunk, as Andy mentioned, a big value NFT and formerly owned by Gary Vee. What a cool prize. Andy, I want to turn over to VeeCon for a little bit here. You talked a little bit about it, and VeeFriends is kind of affiliated with VeeCon thanks to that ticket guarantee for Series 1 holders that get free admission to the conference. Can you just talk a little bit about what makes VeeCon so unique compared to some of these other NFT and Web3 conferences?
Yeah, it's a good question. In short, I would say because Gary Vee is such a unique individual. Gary Vaynerchuk is a serial entrepreneur. He's a collector, and he's a inspiring motivational figure. And I think VeeCon has elements of all of those things. VeeCon last year was the inaugural VeeCon when we were planning and putting it together. It's the first time ever we had put together an event like this and of this magnitude, and it was so cool to see it come to life because that was the first moment. Like post VeeCon, it clicked. You're like, oh wow, that was an amazing event where it brought to life business operators and marketers, innovators, people really innovating in Web3, and artists, and then pop culture figures, influencers, people really making waves on social media. And to see that collective group come together and network and develop relationships and learn from one another, it's really unlike a conference I've ever been to. I think a lot of conferences have very one lane tracks, where I think VeeCon has multiple related to innovation and popular culture and entertainment and business. So it's really, really exciting. And I think VeeCon itself is going to continue to grow as a conference outside of VeeFriends, and I'm just really proud and excited about all the work that we've put to date on VeeCon.
That's awesome. And as I said, I attended 2022. I'll be there 2023. I'm looking forward to it. And Andy, I got to ask, right? 2022 was a huge success. I know everyone's ready to come back. And I also know that there's some people out there with some FOMO that they didn't go in 2022 that now want to come in 2023. Anything you can share that, is going to be bigger, better, badder for 2023 compared to 2022?
I really think 2022 was a big success, and there's a lot of optimized learnings. I wouldn't say there's any like huge, massive changes to how we're thinking about running the event, but having Busta Rhymes perform on Thursday night at the amphitheater outside of Lucas Oil Stadium is going to be really, really, really cool and special. And I'm also extremely excited about Andrew Schultz, who's a comedian, and I think it's a good zig to all the other like more, I would say, business conversations and entertainment that's going to be happening, to have a stand-up comedian like Andrew Schultz. He's probably going to make fun of Web3 and all of us being there, but also I think he'll bring a lot of laughs, which would be really cool.
That's awesome. But Andy, anyone to share in 2022? I know you were busy, running a lot of things behind the scenes, but any panels, any speakers that really stood out to you from 2022 that you got to listen to?
That's a good question. I have to shout out Jesse Itzler, because I probably, no exaggeration, have gotten pinged over 100 times about the impact his speech had on attendees. Like, grown men were crying, people were begging to see the replays of his speech. So was thrilled to hear that he was coming back, and I know a lot of the VeeCon attendees from last year were excited to see that. Other than that, Snowfro, Eric Cauldron, CEO of Art Blocks, he co-created the design of the VeeCon 2022 tickets. I'm a huge fan of him and Art Blocks. He's also returning. And then aside from that, it's just the diversity of talent and speakers coming together in one place that I think holistically makes the event unlike anything else.
So that was a little bit 2022, a couple repeat guests. Any, maybe new people in 2023 that you're really excited that either, VeeCon's going to have, or you're personally really excited to hear and see speak at the event?
It's cliche to say, but I really respect and love them all. And I would really encourage anyone to go to VeeCon.co and check out all the speakers. There's such a diverse array of talent. I love, like, some of them are friends, and I have a lot of admiration and respect for almost all of them. Steve Bartlett comes to mind. I've been watching Steve for a long time, and it's so cool to see him continue to grow his business and media and entrepreneurial career. I mentioned Andrew Schultz, but I'm a personal fan of his work, and I've really respected and admired how he's grown his name and his craft as a comedian. So I'm just excited to see him. But other than that, the other thing that I'm really excited to see is who's the next Jesse Itzler. Jesse Itzler, to me, last year stole the show from being the one that everyone unanimously was like, his talk really changed my perspective for a day, for my life. I'll remember that talk forever. And I know there's going to be someone that we're not seeing or thinking about right now that's really going to impact people when they go home.
I love that. And Andy, I look at the lineup of speakers, and like you said, it's just crazy to see the diversity of, we got Damon John, right, talking about business. We got, Neil Patrick Harris, Drew Barrymore, talking. We got some public companies that I'm excited about as someone who covers the stock market, right, speaking. And also we've got some NFT founders. You mentioned Snowfro. He was a past guest on this show. I got to interview him last year at VeeCon. Hopefully I can again this year. Luca from Pudgy Penguins, a big fan of him. He was on this show before. He also spoke at Benzinga's Future of Crypto event. And I'm just so excited to catch as many of these panels as possible. Andy, tell viewers here a little bit, right? We spend so much time online, right? On Twitter and Twitter Spaces, in Discord. Why are in-person events so important within Web3, right? To connect that native web community to real life.
Yeah, outside of the connection with Web3, I think just events in general can have such a profound impact on an individual if it's a really well-run event and there's a lot of interesting people there. I describe it almost like sometimes it's like a vacation, going to a meaningful event where you really develop new relationships and you hear new ideas. You leave that event almost with like a new outlook on things, which I think really can develop growth for businesses or individuals. And then, of course, if you pair that with the fact that all those attendees are holding the same NFT or a part of the same community in Web3, it has this whole other element where people are now seeing their face for the first time, and it's not the PFP. And I always laugh. Last year, 2 years ago, people were always introducing themselves as their Discord name. It's like, hey, like I'm Token Cowboy. I'm like, good to meet you, David. But it's just such a cool parallel to see how people are connecting digitally and then to be able to hug it out IRL. It's fascinating. I think we're going to continue to see new ways people are bridging Web3 to IRL, and cool ways both of those things can interact in parallel.
So, Andy, with our guest on the show, we always try, usually unsuccessfully, to get a little bit of alpha, right? So, I'm sure Gary would, kill you if you shared too much. But after VeeCon, what's kind of next for VeeFriends, right? Is it to keep doing Burn Island? Is there more in the works? When will we get some announcements and some more details on what could be next for the VeeFriends evolution?
I would say it's doubling down on everything you've seen to date, just bigger, badder, and more profound with more storytelling. Collectible trading cards, we saw a lot of success with Compete and Collect. Safe to assume we're going to continue to double down on how we're entering the card space and thinking about collectible trading cards. Plushies and figurines and the QR codes connected to those figurines. Definitely can assume that we're going to double down on how we can create physical products that also lend itself to digital storytelling. Events, VeeCon, we are so excited for VeeCon, which is now 28 days away. I can't believe it. It'll be here in no time. But we're going to we're already in the works on VeeCon 2024. And above that, thinking about how else we can provide our community with more utility and value to throw and host events, whether that's virtually or in person.
Awesome. Andy, I know there's so much going on with VeeFriends, with VeeCon. What is it that you're most excited about for VeeFriends in 2023 and maybe for the future as well?
It's storytelling. I think even if you're Apple and any brand in the world has to make you feel something for you to really want to relate and buy their products. And for VeeFriends, we will live and die on our ability to storytell. We have a lot of work to do. We have 283 characters to do so, but I just can't wait to see the faces on kids when they're interacting more with Patient Pig and very, 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 very lucky black cat, or empathy elephant, or optimistic otter, and potentially learning from them and growing up with them. It's a huge, tall task and responsibility, but we now have a great team and leadership team in place where I feel like we're all excited to continue this journey on storytelling with VeeFriends.
That's awesome. Andy, last question here, just to kind of wrap things up, outside of VeeFriends, maybe a little bit VeeFriends included, what's just your thoughts and your comments for people, watching the NFT market? We hear a lot of negative headlines. We hear a lot about, prices going down. What's just that overall, vision and thought on, what people should think about NFTs moving forward?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's so many micro trends in NFTs that people think of it as the macro. But if you zoom out, what's happened in the last 2 years is profound. Like you or I, Chris, I don't want to speak for you, but 3 or 4 years ago, I never in my life would have thought like, oh yeah, everyone's just going to be buying and owning digital things, digital items, digital collectibles. It would seem so abstract. For me, probably for you, and for a large segment of the world, the idea of owning something digitally and trading and selling something digitally is not abstract anymore. It feels very native and authentic. And I think that's what I would tell my mother, anyone who's on the outside looking in, as to like, why NFTs, all these scams, what's happening? What's happening is that people are revolutionizing how we own things. And I think, whether the word NFT is here to stay, I don't know, but I can for sure see the future in which people are going to continue to own and buy digital collectibles.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, just speaking for myself, NBA Top Shot was how I got my start in NFTs, and that was very easy transition for me, right? I grew up collecting trading cards, right? That's the natural progression, right? Is the sports NFT side of things. So, and like I said, now with VeeFriends, and the physical trading cards and also the NFTs, like that parallel, I think it's very easy to kind of see that and see the future. So I love those comments, Andy.
There was I saw a video recently going around. It was like a little viral on Twitter about some fraudulent activity happening with Pokemon cards.
Yes.
And of course, all the Maxi NFT collectors were like, "This is exactly why NFTs. It's verifiable. You know exactly the supply count, where they came from, how they're authenticated." And I would tend to agree. I also would push back that I never. It's so easy to get in the mindset of, or, it's either going to be physical or digital, or you have to either just do TikTok or YouTube. And my long career under Gary, it's always it's not. We want to do physical collectible cards. There's a lot of people that aren't in NFTs and want to just collect and own physical cards, and we're happy to be in that space. And we're extremely happy to continue to build and innovate within Web3 and NFTs.
It's not or, it's and. I love that. And yeah, that Pokemon video, it broke my heart a little. I didn't show my kids because they love Pokemon, and if they saw that, they probably would not want to open those packs up anymore because they would be like, "Dad,
it's not good for the
that's why we're not
general.
getting the rare cards." But so awesome. Well, Andy, this has been so much fun. I love talking to you. I can't wait to come to VeeCon, meet you in person. We'll have to hang out. But again, for everyone tuning in, Andy Krainak, the president of VeeFriends, and go ahead and check out VeeCon and VeeFriends. And don't forget, you have a chance to get a CryptoPunk. I mean, at least check it out if you are thinking about trying to enter that contest.
I think there's like 27 entries so far. So
your odds are pretty good, right?
You got to record the video. May the best debater of Cynical Cat win.
There we go.
I appreciate you having me on, Chris, and I can't wait to have you at VeeCon.
Awesome. Well, take care, Andy, and we will see you at VeeCon. All right, everyone. Well, you heard it. Andy, president of VeeFriends. What a fun conversation, right? And as I said, I mean, VeeCon coming up. Andy said it, 28 days away. You can buy your tickets. They're on OpenSea. If you own a VeeFriends Series 1, you, of course, get that free admission. You're going to be able to hear from some of the top founders in the NFT community, also from some of the biggest names in business, and just so much going on. Busta Rhymes. I mean, last year was so much fun, and I can't wait for 2023. And VeeFriends, I mean, you've heard Alyssa and I talk a lot about it on the show, right? Very friendly with kids, which I love as a dad. Those plushies, those blind boxes, and the physical cards. And we got to hear Andy say maybe some more cards coming down the road. So if I tell my kids that, they're gonna ask if they can be on YouTube again to do an unboxing. So but all right, well, that's going to do it for us today with our exciting interview with VeeFriends. We'll be back next week on Tuesday. We have Doug from Toy Boogers joining us once again to share an update on the community and what he's been up to. And we also have some more interviews lined up before I head to VeeCon. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, like this video, and let everyone know that Benzinga is the place for crypto and NFT content. Until next time, take care.